everyone, I'm Sailaja and welcome back to my channel Learnatcloudanalytics. Today I would like to share with you the 3 questions you should definitely ask at the end of every job interview. So before we jump into the 3 different types of questions that you should definitely ask at the end of every interview, here's one thing that you should not do. When the interviewers are done with all their questions, they will most likely ask you if you have any questions to ask them. Do not say no, I do not have any questions at this time, or no, I think you have answered to all of my questions. When you don't have any questions that are prepared for the end of your interview, this not only makes it seem like you didn't prepare for your interview, but it also seems like you might not care as much about the position, that you have not invested in preparing for the position, or that you are just not informed about the position. So whatever you do, at all cost, avoid not asking any questions. Now the interviewers may have answered to some of your questions during the interview process, but you should also need to ask these 3 types of questions. These include culture, role specific, and the close questions. So what are the cultural questions and why do we need to ask such questions? So cultural questions would allow the interviewers to talk about themselves and the organization, and this would definitely help a job prospective to understand how is the work culture within that particular organization and how is the employee relationship with that particular organization. So the questions that you can ask within this segment is: what is your favorite part about working for this organization? What do you love most about this job? What makes people stay with this organization? So these are some of the cultural questions that you could ask during the end of an interview. Now coming to the second set of questions, which is the role specific questions. First, let's understand why do we even need to ask the role specific questions. So these questions would help us to clarify the expectations that you could have about that particular position and avoid any ambiguities or uncertainties that you might have on that particular job description. So some of the questions that fall into this category are: can you tell me a typical day or week looks like in this position? Second one, what do you want a person in this position accomplish in their first 30, 60 and 90 days? What challenges or opportunities do you foresee this position taking on in the next 6 months? How will my performance be measured in this position? So these are some of the questions that you can ask within this role specific category. Now the last third important questions that you should definitely be asking the interviewer is the close questions. So some of the questions that can be comprised or that would fall within this category are: how do I compare to other candidates you have interviewed for this role? What are the next steps in the interview process? Have I answered to all of the questions that you have for me? So by asking these questions, it not only shows that you are prepared and are genuinely interested in the role, but it also gives an opportunity to the interviewers to know more about you and give you some feedback about that interview process. So before we wrap up, remember, do not say no, I do not have any questions to ask. You have answered to all of my questions throughout the interview process. So interviews are quite hectic and stressful at times, but you do not want to leave any side of ambiguities coming out of the interview. So we would like to leave a memorable and a positive experience on the interviewer, and you can do this by at least preparing 3 to 5 questions for the interview. So I hope this podcast has helped you to prepare for a job interview, to ask specific questions that would be helpful for you to understand more about the cultural element of that particular company, or more about the role specific, to get some questions being clarified with respect to the position that you are applying for. So thank you.